Hey guys, George here. I'm looking around because I'm trying to find my thinking cap. Give me a sec. Thinking cap on. And what we're going to do here is try to give you a rundown of my solo play of Scenario 4, the Commissar's house. Not using the hassle, but using the geomorphic boards. Now, like it or not, I did make some mistakes playing this game in terms of not understanding the SSRs correctly. So we'll go over my mistakes. And this was solo play. I was playing against my greatest opponent, myself, I suppose. I shouldn't say that. I should be more modest. But what you see here is a snapshot of the action or the consequences at the end of each player turn. So we start with the end of the German player turn. Now I can reveal to you this play because I started playing the scenario at least with one opponent, and I'm not too worried about watching my videos and picking up on what I might do, because I kind of tend not to play the same game twice when I'm playing these scenarios. I tend to change my strategy and try things that I haven't tried before just to see if they work or not. So the Commissar's house, what's interesting to note is that you really need to understand the SSRs. So according to the SSRs here, there's no wind, that's all good. All single hex wooden buildings are considered wood and rubble. That's what I tried to do with some overlays. And those overlays, for one reason or another, do not repeat the lost check tool, but that's all fine and dandy. Kindling is not allowed for the Russians. You may use sewer movement, and that helps. In a way, it helps, and I'll tell you why later, why sewer movement is perhaps quintessential. Also, level A booby trap capability is in play by SSR on board 20. I believe, yep. Top board is board 1, which I don't know why it's even there. But board 20 is where the victory objectives are. And have fortified all of building 20Z3. So 20Z3 down here is all fortified, meaning lower and upper levels. Wow. The Soviets player has 3 or less squad equivalents that can be set up as HIP, and the 838s and the 338s have an ELR of 5. All other German units start with an ELR of 4. So, in order to play the scenario correctly, you have to have all that stuff in mind. Because if you don't, you may have not succeeded. I may have inadvertently made a couple of mistakes and in playing this. Now, I only realized them when I was playing with a live opponent. Now, as you can see, I have this fellow, the AAR leader out there. And that's the first mistake that I did, was I substituted him for a Commissar. Now, if you take a look at the rule book, as a matter of fact, you can ordinarily substitute a 8-0 for a 9-0 and an 8-1 leader for a 10-0 leader. However, according to Alpha 25.22, the rules governing a Commissar is a 9-0 or a 10-0 leader with special capabilities at the start of any scenario, including DYO Russian partisans, during or prior to 1042, October 42. When did this scenario take place? November 1942. Having played this scenario solo, and realizing that it's really difficult for the Germans to win. Really difficult for the Germans to win. What occurs here is I'm playing against my my esteemed opponent, my Friday night opponent, and I see 2 Commissars instead of 1. Well, wait a second. What the heck is going on here? I'm going to have a hard time winning with 2 commissars. And basically what commissars do is they increase the morale level of your Russian units by 1, forfeit the desperation morale out the door, and they bounce back like you wouldn't believe. Now, if they fail the morale check, the ELR. If they fail the rally attempt, the ELR. And once they become conscripts, if it's a full squad conscript, at that point, if they fail the rally attempt, they half squad until they're eventually eliminated. They're not automatically eliminated. So that's a pretty powerful unit. But remember, this rule is in effect only on or before October 1942. Now that's another condition I always fail to remember. Is it on October or prior to October? During or prior. So October 42 included, and prior to October 42. So what we attempted to do here is we attempted to use our best order leader to lead an attack against the Russians, and the Russians kind of broke everybody that was attacking on this flank. On the other flank, the 628s were instrumental in driving back the Germans as well. And we're leading the assault with the best leaders and the best units, the 838s, the elite units. The German leaders that did not have any negative modifiers were left behind to man machine guns and prevent cavalry. And we managed to break a couple of Russian units, but not as much as we wanted. We really needed a successful initial attack to win the scenario. Over here, the melee has a story of it, in itself that I will never forget for the next foreseeable future. No matter who attacked that unit, they seem to have won. The Russian units seem to have won the close combat role all the time. Let's go to the end of Russian turn 1. Not much has changed, except for the fact that we may have broken one Russian unit and took him prisoner for failure to rout. How that was accomplished is beyond me, but it was. And the Germans pulled back on, I guess we can call this the right flank, or that the right flank there. And this is the left flank, okay? This will be the left, this will be the right. Okay, so on the left flank, we still have, we're still keeping up pressure. The center is good, and the right has fallen back to recuperate from the 628's strong defense. Okay, now this is German turn 2. So the right still is holding strong for the Soviets. The center, we managed to break their first defensive line in the center. However, what I did here was I set up the medium in this direction and the heavy in that direction. So, long story short, the Germans had their work cut out for them. On the left-hand side, as you can see, we've scored some success. There was a leader creation here as a result of the close combat. We created an 8-0 leader because they rolled snakes on the CC roll. And over here, at this juncture, due to the heavy being situated here, these two positions became untenable for the Russians. The Germans scored great successes in routing back even the best order leader. The 628s, though, were hard cookies to crack, even though they were in the gully, in open ground. Basically, attacking them was next to impossible. Did I use smoke to its maximum effectiveness? Perhaps not. It's always problematic with smoke unless you have an exponent of 5. You have a 50-50 chance of getting it or not getting it. A 1/16th chance, I believe, of getting a 6, and then your move ends. So it was really tough going for the Germans. Let's move on. and zoom in on the action. Here, in the previous slide, you'll see that the Germans units here on the left side managed to pin. A couple of morale checks caused heat of battle and created a couple of heroes. As a matter of fact, 2 heroes to boot. And slow going here. Let's go forward. I believe that leader was mauled down by a sniper with a wound check. Here, failed the morale check. We have melee, and this fellow here, Rosovkovsky, as I call him, was holding on for dear life and avoiding an encirclement of the Russian victory location. And we did manage to get some concealment. So this will be German turn 3. Ivanov became berserk, and there's a unit just adjacent to him. Over here, the Germans are consolidating a bit. The good thing is that they finally made it to the building, which is close to the objective. Over here, we're hoping to hop in close combat or evict the German unit from here. And that's a lonely 447 holding up 2 or 3 German squads. And up in the right-hand side, we're finally making a headway. And we jumped the 628s in melee. Now, getting those 628s out of the ditch was problematic. I would have ended up putting them in CX to get them out in the advanced phase. And to get them out during the movement phase, it would have to be non-assault movement, because to get out and into the woods from the gully, it would cost 4 movement factors. And since that's their entire movement, it would not be an assault move. So they would get the first fire non-assault movement modifier against them. And the German shots would have been flat, no positive modifiers whatsoever. And as you can see, my initial attack here to try and take out the 628s, it resulted in a pinned unit as well. The alternative could have been to have some people here on the second floor being able to fire down onto the gully. There's a woods gully there. And finally, the chicken across the street. There you go. 80 minus leader. They slowly advanced in the center to cut off any reinforcements between one building and the other. But on the left-hand side here, on the left flank, the Germans were badly mauled. Russian turn 3. What we got here is, again, the Russians bouncing back to some extent. The German units that were holding building FF6 just skulked back slowly and putting themselves in a position where they are guarding from a location. There's a stone building there, guarding a location that prevents or inhibits the movement in open ground of the German player. The center here, again, the Russian player bounced back and gave a bloody nose to the Germans. Let's move on. Turn 4. It was back and forth, really, back and forth. I believe this leader here kind of advanced from this situation here, seeing that nobody's coming down the road to reinforce this building. I believe eventually this building would fall, but the Germans took it at a high cost. The center was a little bit problematic in terms of that these units should have created a nice line of defense to cut off the Russians on this side of the board from coming around here. Here we have some close combat going on. Again, some German units broke. And we're starting to lose hope here. Let's go on. Russian turn 4. Again, the Russian player is bouncing back. The close combat here may have been won by the Germans, and now it looks the situation looks a little bit hopeless for the Russians. On this side of the board, ultimately, it appears like the Russians broke the best order leader, the 9-1 leader, with the squad in the heavy, and forced them to rout back. But their success would not live too long. In the center, I could have played the Germans a bit more smarter, I believe. But the Russians were able to rout back, rally, and bounce back onto the heavy, and continue giving the Germans punches to the nose. And here we are, we jump into close combat again. It should have been in favor of the outcome should have been in favor of the Germans, but Murphy's Law kicked into play. Over here, look at that. Look what the Russian player is up against. It's a ton of firepower. So I think at this juncture or another, the Russian players lost that location. Here, look at that too. Look at that too. The Germans managed to come close to their objective. They look like a big stack, but ultimately, luck was not on the German side. So, moving right along, the Russian turn 5 was more or less status quo. The Russians captured some Germans now, and they started fighting back. And all this 9-1 leader has to do to now block this side of the road. Before was initially blocking this side of the road. So instead of putting my best leader and my best machine gun up here, I put him here. He blocks the initial attack. He's out on the side, and then when they advance, he advances into X6, and he can block this road with a heck of a lot of residual. Now, that works provided Murphy's Law doesn't come into play, and you end up breaking your heavy machine gun. And here's the outcome of this kill stack. And they break. They kind of break. But the Russian player also isn't so lucky. We have a broken LMG there. We got all sorts of prisoners in the center. A flamethrower is coming down our back. But guess what? Guess what? Here's the thing. We got an LMG here blocking this passage here, right? And these units here are 3 hexes away from the flamethrower, so the flamethrower is completely out of it. The leader that was manning the heavy machine gun 9-1, he got wounded, probably by a sniper attack or a shot, a lucky shot. My 8-1 leader got wounded. The other leader here, probably another 8-1, ended up wounded and having to retreat. I got another unit here that's CX. So once the leaders go in the gully, coming out, it cost them 4 movement points. And these guys only have 3. I wonder if they can go CX. Gotta look that one up. But the biggest impact here was, I was ready to call it quits at this juncture because it's turn 6 and everybody's broken. And the Russian players, the Russian units are still a viable concern. This building is fortified up and down. You shouldn't declare no quarter, because then mopping up is impossible. So it's a really head scratcher as to how to win this as the Germans. So here I am. I routed back there. Ended up being the M just the same. This building is now in German hands, but we still have to reinforce or expel the Germans from here, the Russians from here, from the second victory location. So ultimately, look, this is a mistake. There shouldn't be a 9-1 Commissar there. You play the game solo, you're making mistakes there. You play with your live opponent, then you can correct the mistakes. Playing solo, I think, merits a lot of weight. So I changed my mind about giving up, decided to continue the scenario. But basically, the left flank here was decimated. By the time I got the heavy up here, I'm still looking at +4 dice roll modifiers, +1 for the orchard, +3 for a stone building. And where are my good order leaders? Check this out. 9-1, wounded. He's now an 8-0. 8-1, he's now a 7-0, wounded. The 10-2, he's wounded. So he's a 9-1. The leaders here were the biggest casualties. Biggest casualties. Never mind the heroes. The heroes got taken out. Yeah. The other leader there, that the Russian leader that went berserk, he got conked out. And over there, now we have another 8-1 that also went berserk, and the unit below him went berserk as well. But look what he's facing. His closest unit has a heavy machine gun, so he's going to charge into the street, and with the HMG alone, he's facing a 12-2 attack, or 12-1 actually, 12-1 because that's an Orchard X, and he's not using the road. 12-1. So it looks like the other unit said goodbye. Here, it really, the fact that this guy's a 9-0 didn't really matter. It was the shooting that mattered, and their inability to pass morale checks up in the left-hand side here, on the left flank. Left flank, right flank, from the Russian perspective. 2 German turns left. And here's the deal. They don't have enough good order units to take this building. And once these guys rally, they can reinforce the building, and so can these folks here. They can come in through the rear and come in to that building, and that's it, that's all. So I'm wondering about whether I should be doing a pincer movement, or going down the center and then attacking in a reverse pincer. Split the Russian OB in 2, take one side, take the other, and that's it, that's all. And once you cross the street here, you're good to go. No? Yeah, and the other thing that I forgot to do, which was quintessential, was to deploy. So deployment is very important for the Germans in this game. Let's see where we quit. Where do we quit? Here we go, and into another melee, another attempt to take that building. Ends up in the Germans pinning this turn 8. These guys couldn't move for one reason or another. Well, there's not enough leaders to make them move anywhere. And they're still in a pickle. Right here. They're still in a pickle. This guy's in melee. This guy's next to a heavy and a 9-1 leader. This road could have very easily put a stream of what do you call that? Not a stream. That's spraying fire. Let's say we look at the rule book. We're drawing a blank here, and it's common. Come on, George. Fire. Yeah. Draw a fire lane. Put down a stream of residuals. What's the German player going to do? So I think at this point the Germans threw in the flag. There's no point that we threw in a flag, and the Russian player just reinforced this building in its totality. So having tried this method of attacking, what I'm saying is maybe do an attack down the middle, and then divide your forces going one flank into this direction and the other flank pushing the Russians off to the east, and another group pushing them off into the west instead of trying to encircle them. Because it's a question of time. Yeah. But the Russian setup here was phenomenal. Now, I threw in the towel as the German player. Doesn't mean you wouldn't be able to win using this strategy. I was extremely unlucky in my rolls and in my attack rolls and my German morale checks, as you can see. Somehow extremely lucky with the Russians. That's how it ended. You just sometimes have to accept fate the way it is. Yep. So that was my little 30-minute action report. I'm recording it Tuesday night, but I'm going to publish this video first thing 8 a.m. Saturday morning. And if you have any questions, let me know down below in the comments. I'm going to conclude this video by again thanking all of you for your support and watching my videos. I used to promote my videos using Discord and Facebook, and I am simply not doing that anymore. I believe that viewers, if you as the creator is creating quality content, you'll watch the video, and if you don't, there's not much I can do to promote a video nobody likes, because you simply won't watch it. So far, I'm happy with the work that I'm doing. I wish I could improve on the quality, but that takes a big investment in time and probably more equipment. But just the same, this is an extension of the hobby. And I'm playing tonight as well, so I'm very fortunate in that respect. I'd like to thank the 2.5 Squads for commenting on one of my videos that I've done a long time ago on Bounding Fire. I think it was the Chinese Stalingrad or something like that. It was an ITR Into the Rubble Productions PTO scenario that I did a few years ago. And I kind of learned a lot. It was a very interesting scenario. But at a certain point in time, I really got frustrated with that module because I was playing it too intensely. I took a break from it, came back, and research shows that those scenarios were designed by some of the heavyweights in Advanced Squad Leader. So, yeah, I am back into ITR, and I'm going to probably do a solo play / after-action report, or maybe an after-action report if Alan doesn't mind, on the latest Into the Rubble scenario that we've done. And with that said, guys, do also enjoy the food videos that I posted. If you like quick and easy, nutritious food for brain thought and winning games, do check out my recipes here that I've done, the few that I've done, and also check out my son's video that he did, the cover to Nirvana. And hopefully one day he'll do a Johnny Cash cover, and I'll post that as well. It'll make me pretty proud if he does Johnny Cash as well. Shout out to Michael Hiotis. Shout out to Yanni Hiotis, my producer. Take care, guys. Have a good one.